Joe, at number 2, we have Carson Beck out of Miami. And I know that this one's probably going to get a lot of treadway. But maybe when people see this clip, they're going to be like, oh, they're talking about the Carson Beck drama. Do you want to address the Carson Beck drama?
No, I don't. Actually, you know what? Just to very briefly touch on it.
Okay.
I hope that he's not getting distracted.
Well,
I hope that he's not getting distracted.
Okay.
I'm going to put it very bluntly. I hope that he's not getting distracted.
Well,
it sounds like he is.
Let me stop you right there. I do this to every quarterback. It doesn't matter. Joe, if he's having these distractions, I mean, we talk about Caleb Williams having the distraction when he was at USC. We talk about all these quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders, when they have these distractions and then their play drops off in these bigger games. Joe, he doubled his interception ratio a year ago at Georgia. A lot of people want to blame Georgia for that. They couldn't run the football. Joe, in every big game against a ranked opponent, he had 3 interceptions. It is a fact. He did not get better. He's still on Snapchat. Here's the thing for me with Carson Beck, though. He goes to the podium, Joe, and says, I don't like watching football. So
when did he say that?
Remember at the end of the year, he's like, no, I go home. I'm not watching football. I'll watch the film. I don't want to have preconceived notions. He was talking about going into the Texas game. I do go look up people in the chat.
I think I remember what you're talking about. I don't remember exactly.
He is at number 2 for me because of what he did 2 years ago and even what he did last year. But, Joe, his interceptions doubled. What Carson Beck's going to show up is the big question for me.
I think one strong indicator that why I feel like Carson Beck is going to play even better this upcoming year.
Well, he's not in the SEC, number 1.
Well, sure, that helps. He's going up against later competition. He's not going to have the same level of receiver talent to turn to because Elijah Arroyo, the tight end, and Xavier Restrepo are in this upcoming draft class. So he's not going to have the same guys to turn to.
Still, and Horton went to Alabama.
Yes, so Horton's gone as well. When Cam Ward came into Miami, one of the things that people had with concerns with him is that he was a risky decision maker, that he made poor decisions and he turned the ball over too much. He had a lot of fumbles. He threw 7 interceptions. And what helped Cam Ward take this next step was that Shannon Dawson, I felt, helped him be a lot more composed in the pocket and to not turn the ball over as often. He had the same amount of interceptions, but he was a lot cleaner. He was taking the right risks. I think that Carson Beck, having a better receiver room that doesn't have one of the most egregious drop totals in the country, and also being in this position to be coached by Shannon Dawson to set him up to make less stupid mistakes, I think it's going to help him take a step forward. I really thought that Mike Bobo was a driving force in some of his worst games, and I stand by it. The play calling was shit. We talked about this with Garrett Nussmeier yesterday and how we gave him a pass because we didn't play calling. Well, we were giving him a pass, but we were providing context for why some of the games he didn't play as well. I think that Carson Beck was sold out in a lot of games because Bobo was not doing an effective job of establishing the run, and then he felt pressed and he was making dumb mistakes. Dawson's not going to allow that to happen. I think Dawson is going to actually set him up to succeed.
I get what you're saying, but 9 interceptions in 3 games is not all on the coordinator. Because
I understand that. I'm not saying that's all on him.
No, it's not. And listen, do I agree with you on Bobo and play calling situations? Yes. I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. But I don't agree. This is the visual that I have in my brain. The visual I have in my brain is the first Texas game where when the outside receiver, the fast one, I can't remember his name, but
Isaiah Bond, or are you talking about?
No. For Georgia, Smith.
Oh, not Smith. Yeah,
Smith runs the hitch route. Joey misses him by 7 yards, and the ball gets picked. Right, like those. And so I'm trying to ascertain, you had distractions. You've had distractions this offseason. I feel like, yes, that were for Cam Ward, okay? But Cam Ward, to me, felt more locked in than what I'm seeing at the current moment. That's how I feel about Carson Beck. Now, to get on the good side of it, Joe, I mean, he's got more experience in this, I say in this conference, but as a quarterback, he's got more experience than anybody. So, again, I put him at 2 because which one shows up? Now, I do think the turnovers reduced, not because of him or Shannon, and I love Shannon. He was at Southeastern with us. I think they reduced because of the schedule that he's going against. Not so much maybe him. But again, like when you were talking, the only visual I had in my mind was, well, that first Texas game, I mean, you're making some of the worst throws I've ever seen. It's a hitch route, Joe.
Well, okay. Again, not all of the mistakes are completely off of his back and all on Bobo's. But the other part about this, I think you bring up the really easy, low-hanging fruit talking point. His worst games came against the toughest opponents that they saw.
No doubt.
Except for like maybe Florida. Ole Miss, he threw an interception. He had 3 against Texas.
No, he had a pair of picks against Florida too.
Oh, no, he had 3 picks against Florida.
Right.
He had 3 interceptions against Alabama. The only game that I would argue is not an excuse is the 2 interceptions that he threw against Mississippi State. But this final stretch of games were the cleanest that we've ever seen from him, where against Tennessee, it was the old version of him where he had 2 touchdowns and 347 passing yards. Against Georgia Tech, he looked completely changed. He had 5 passing touchdowns in that game, and we were talking about, hey, he's back. They're going to go on a national championship run.
Well, then he goes the first half against Texas and lays an egg.
I wouldn't classify necessarily laying an egg, but
didn't he have like only like 70 passing yards and a half?
He had 56, but he only had 13 passing attempts up until that point. So he hadn't gotten into a rhythm yet, and then he blows out his elbow. So like
That's a whole nother thing that we haven't addressed.
The elbow thing is where the actual concern comes into play. Because I think up top, he's smart enough and he's good enough a decision maker. If he's in the right circumstance and his guys aren't dropping every single freaking pass, his numbers are going to improve. The turnovers are going to go down. But the elbow thing, like he could be throwing ducks. There's a shot that he could go out there and he could start throwing ducks. And I'd be curious what happens during the spring game and how he looks during the spring. Oh no, he's not even participating.
Yeah, he's not even participating. And so here's another thing.
So we're not going to know until week 1 against Notre Dame if he throws a fluttering ass pass against the Fighting Irish.
Exactly. Here's another thing. You said something in there that you think up top he's a good decision maker. Cheating on the Cavender twin is not being a good.
Talk about a dumbass, by the way.
Right, like so you're saying
he's been in Miami. He got lost in the sauce. He's been in Miami for 2 months.
He had his Lamborghini stolen, and he cheated on arguably one of the hottest co-eds, that everybody talks about.
A girl that he was lucky to be with in the first place. A girl that every dude on this planet was wondering, how did his ugly ass end up with her? He didn't have the judgment to understand what he was losing. So that was worth it. It's all I'm going to say.
That is my point. We talk about him being a good decision maker. He's a bad decision maker on and off the field.
Well, he's turning over girlfriends. He's turning over the football. he's an impulse decision maker that makes bad plays.
All that blood going to that. Never mind.